What we track expands. This is the belief behind data and data management that guides like what do you track, what do you focus on, whether it's in your personal life, habit trackers, calendars of events, journal entries, what you find important and worth taking note on. But it also works in business with key performance indicators, metrics of success, and understanding the analytics behind whether people are looking at what you're sharing, posting it, connecting with you, what resonates with your audience. You can either ask people via survey, gathering data that way, or you can look at the habits and metrics that are offered on websites, YouTube videos, and other forums, whether you can see whether people are liking things, looking at things, viewing them. How are people engaging with you and what you're doing? I'm Latia. I am a data engineer. I also dabble in lots of things, especially fun things like pole dance and other ways of like expression, and personal development is also my jam. And when it comes to data, sometimes we forget that data points actually represent people. They are human beings and a moment in time. So a lot of the data points that we end up tracking, sometimes they are not, where it's like weather trends or environmental data. But when it comes to business, relationships, life, we're either tracking the things that we're doing or not doing, or the way people are or are not engaging with us. Now, when it comes to creating a story with data, I feel like there's a program that I do, and one of the metrics or ways that they operate is like there's a rating system. So usually it's a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely no, this does not happen, and 10 being you thrive on it, you're doing great with it, everything's working perfectly. And for me, I don't like it. And a lot of it's because, like, as intuitive as I am, my ratings don't always mean much of anything. They're just random numbers that like pop into my head. So it's like, how productive are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And it's like, it feels like a 6, 7 today. Like, that's the number that's coming to mind. Literally no bearing on reality. It's like, I mean, I'm kind of that productive, but like, it doesn't mean anything because it's not necessarily attached to my reality and what I'm doing. So I'm more the type of person where like, I like rubrics. So if I'm going to do something where it's a scale of 1 to 10, I wouldn't mind like sitting out and being like, okay, especially like, I guess in the area of hobbies, it's like a level 1 in the area of hobbies is like, I have no hobbies, I'm not doing anything. And then a level 10 is I have hobbies that are satisfying and I enjoy them. And right now in my life, I'm probably at like somewhere between a 4 and 6, just because like I'm doing this dance class program and like it's okay, but like there's something about it and I'm just like, I don't think this is for me. And like I pay for it every week, I show up every week unless I'm out of town, and I'm just like, being told what my body likes and how I feel is weird, and you just don't get me. Like, yeah, that's cool, you get moments, but it's just like, I need more. Like, I like dancing as performance, and I can dance and feel good in my body, which I do. I like dancing. Like, it really is just fun for me. But there's something about this, like, there's no mirrors. You're only operating off the cheers and feedback of other people. And it's like, what feels good in your body? And it's just like, my body feels good. It's just a happy body. My body is usually happy. Also, my body has other emotions. And I feel like the fact that only like one layer is seen, I'm just like, yeah, this just confirms the feeling that like maybe this isn't the space for me. But going back to data, when it comes to like tracking it, that is like the best way to create or measure change in one's life. So if you're wanting to drink more water, if you start tracking like how many cups of water am I drinking, how many bottles of water am I drinking, one, it makes you aware of, oh wow, I thought I was drinking 4 bottles a day, but I'm really only drinking half a bottle a day. And then it allows you to have a little more flexibility and insight into how would I like to move forward. So now that you're aware, oh, I'm barely drinking any water, now you have that choice to empower yourself and like make better choices. So an area that I tend to track often are my finances. And it's one where I like to create different plans. So I like to use a snowball calculator and come up with different ideas for like how would I like to pay off my debt. And then like I actually did over the last it wasn't even a year, but I took out a loan a few years ago. And so I had a loan, I have 2 credit cards, and I recently took out a different loan, but like at that point I had like a Delta credit card, Wells Fargo credit card, my student loans, and then this personal loan I took out, which originally was $10,000. And so I was like looking at my finances and I was like, you know what? If I were to snowball into the smallest loan first, which had like, it didn't have a bad interest rate, it wasn't the worst. I was like, I could pay this off within 4 months. And I was like, that momentum might allow me to like keep going and like pay more off. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So I started making really big payments on this loan and I've paid it off. And paying it off felt great. But then instead of like continuing, I ended up like paying for other programs because like, I don't know, the timing was right and I was just going through some things, and I like personal development and I'm sometimes an emotional shopper. So then I ended up creating a little more debt, but it was like, all right, like I've paid one off. I could do this again if I want. So now I've taken out a loan recently. So I'm like back in the situation, but with more money, and it's like, okay, cool. So we still have Wells Fargo credit card, a Delta American Express card. We have student loans, and now we have another personal loan. It's like, all right, cool. All right. So clearly I have a problem, and I am not allowed to buy into anything for at least 6 months to a year. Like I definitely need to cut back. One of my friends is just like, anytime you think you might buy a program, reach out to me and I'll talk you out of it. This friend is really good at talking me out of it. Like my sister like makes me second guess and like reconsider, but this friend really makes me feel like, wow, that is a dumb idea. Thank you for that. I've never appreciated someone making me feel like a dum-dum so much. But where I'm at with it is like, okay, I know, especially with my credit cards, I tend to be variable on the amounts that I pay. So if I'm having like a month where I'm like buying something big just for whatever reason, it could be like a detox, which I've done, and like different things, then I'll be like, oh, well, this is a pay the minimum on the cards month. And then some months it's like, oh, I'm buying a flight and I'm gonna pay the flight off, but that covers my minimum payment. So like not the best thing to do, but I'm like aware I'm making bad choices. And so where I'm at is like, okay, so on my student loans, I consistently pay the same amount every month. I don't even allow it to change. It's just that is the amount that I pay. And at this point I've overpaid, so they're like, oh, your actual payment is only, I think my payment's like $80 or $90 right now. Like that's how much I technically need to pay. And I'm just like, I'll keep overpaying on you just because like I consistently pay $250. It's an easy payment to make. It's a little more than needed, and it's just like easy. So then it's like, okay, on my credit cards, like sometimes I'll like consistently pay an amount, but the challenge is that I have payments on my credit cards that are automatic. So having like my cell phone bill come out of one card and my Hulu comes out of that card, and then I have Apple Pay on my like Delta card along with this, I signed up for a timeshare that comes out of that. Also weird decision, but it's like, okay, now that I understand, I know what my monthly bills are for the most part. Like I track it, but where I'm at is like, okay, I keep trying to keep track of my bills in 5 different places, and I have whiteboards, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna put my finances on a whiteboard, and that is gonna be the place where I look. Where now I'll be able to look at how much do I owe, how much are my payments, and what am I like spending money on. And that way, if I want to splurge or have fun, I'll have like a splurge fun budget. So like one of the things that I would like to buy, which I definitely have the money in my bank account for, but fractionally because I got a loan, fractionally because like, I don't know, my finances are just working out that way right now, is a portable pole. I want a pole so I can practice pole dancing on my own, because like the classes I take aren't enough, and they're just not at the level that I like to do pole at. And it's all about like slow sensual movement, which is cool, but like I am not I'm not a fan. I just don't like it. And we do the same routine every week, and it's like, yeah, like after it I feel good, but then like I don't know, I just don't connect with people well lately, and I'm like super antisocial. But I want a pole, and so I've looked it up, and X pole has stages that are like 5 feet 3 inches in diameter. They go about 9.5 feet in the air, but you need about 10.5 feet of clearance space, and I think I might be able to make it work in my apartment. I have measuring tape, so I'll figure it out first. Also, they cost like 200, they weigh around 200 or 220 pounds, and I'm just like, oh, is it really worth it, thinking about it? But I'm like, you know what, I think it would be a lot more fun to save up for it over a period of time instead of just buying it. One, because like I don't value things that I buy that much. It's like, this is great, and I'm like, why did I buy that? Two, it's like I want to have that satisfaction of having like taken my time and allowing it to accumulate instead. And then three, I'm just in a financial position where it's like, let's create new habits and do something that's going to work long term instead of constantly feeding the bad habits that I have, which are impulsive shopping, which is not consistent. It's like sporadic. I sporadically impulsively shop. I also do variable payments on my credit, and then even though I have different payments that are automatically taken out of my accounts, I don't always compensate for that in the payments that I make. So it's like I'm not always considering like the amount of payments that are being made, which is like, part of me is like, well, maybe I'll just take those auto pays off my credit cards and put them on my debit card. Maybe I'll just make the extra money payment. Like, I don't yet know what my plan is, but I'm at least like aware of it, and we'll see like what structure is going to work best so that I can like keep chipping away at the debt, building up the savings, and like different things. And something that's definitely worked for me in the past on building up a savings account was at my last job, I did an auto debit. So I would have like the payment that would go straight to my debit account and my like checking account. It was like that. But what I did was I had them do a automatic debit where they pulled out $250 a paycheck and they put it towards my savings account. And having like no thought go into it, it wasn't something where I had to say, oh, do I really want to pay myself? It's just like, I'm already getting paid, so that's great. And then it like takes off the thought, so I don't have to like make that choice. It's just like automatically done. And I could do that with a lot of my bills, but I kind of like being a little bit hands-on with them, so I'm aware of like, okay, this is where money's going, this is how it's flowing, just because I like analog things or I'm like manual and writing and tracking. It feels better for me. Like, I usually have a spreadsheet where I break out what are my bills and payments that are due, and then I'll break out the months across, and I'll check off when I make them and things like that. But those are just some of my financial habits. But the main point, data. When you track such things, you can see your patterns, you can understand what's going on, you can paint a better picture, and it's more aligned with the reality of what's actually happening. So now you're empowered to make better, smarter choices. Whether it's, how do I attract people to my page? What things are people responding to? Or how do I manage my finances or health in such a way that I get the energy that I'm seeking? So what we track and focus on expands, which is why if you're in a business, make sure you understand the true drivers of your culture, of the processes that you do, because if you measure the wrong things, you're gonna get the wrong output. So I know that like I happen to be on a team, and on this team, it's like, all right, people who do the work, tell me what you're doing every hour of your day and what work keeps you busy. And the problem with that is that like, one, human error. People BS all the time. So I'm very likely to just like write whatever and just be like, I hit the number of hours that's going to shut you up. Yes. Whereas like the real like driver of this are, what are the client requests? What's the client asking for? What are these people who give us our assignments creating that is like leading to this work? Like, yeah, you could like make the work more efficient, but it's like the efficiencies are very known. So it's like you're not adding value. But if you are measuring the wrong things, then you're not creating the change that you want, and you're not going to drive the decisions that are going to really have like a positive impact. So share this with anyone that you feel may benefit from understanding a little more about data-driven decision making. Like it, comment, let me know what you think. Was it helpful? Hopefully it was interesting, not too bad as I like share about my finances. But I shared about my finances more as an example of like data-driven decision making, because like as I understand, one, from tracking my data, I understand the choices that I make. I understand some of my triggers, and it's like from there, now I'm empowered to like make new choices. And where I'm at is like taking this data onto a whiteboard where I'm not gonna move it around as much, and I can just see everything in one place, because now centrally managed, the power of that is that I don't have to look in, you know, my one notebook and then my other notebook and then like this, and then let's just go to the computer and look at it again. It's like, no, I can just track it here, keep the changes, and like keep everything up to date. But I hope this was helpful, that you have a wonderful day, and see you next time.